And now I'm going to go back to the seals, or the horsemen of the apocalypse, and show you that they are warning us about the very same thing, but offering us a few more clues of what will happen and how. The first horse has a bow and wears a crown, which properly translated means wreath. In order to understand this passage, we cannot overlook a single detail or word. Also notice how it says he has a bow, but does not say there is an arrow in the bow. As you can see from these typical artist renditions below, most people miss these important details. And these important details reveal that through peace, the world will be conquered without actually needing to use arrows or bullets. Just as today, governments and borders are being rearranged without any shots being fired. 100 times more people die from famine alone than all wars combined. Actual wars where bullets are being fired are very rare, and most of the time they only occur when one side has an extreme technological advantage over their enemy. Coincidentally, the symbol of the two most prominent organizations involved in conquering the world through peace, the Trilateral Commission and the United Nations, both have logos connected to this prophecy. The Trilateral Commission has a logo of a naked man riding a white horse, while the United Nations uses the symbol of the wreath. Revelation 13 adds more detail to this, as it describes a kingdom that arises near the end of time. It has two horns like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. The lamb represents Christ's revelation, while the dragon always represents Satan. This symbolism indicates that this particular nation will pretend to be Christian while actually carrying out the will of Satan. Will conquer the world under the guise of democracy and spreading peace, but covertly its true agenda will be to advance its king to be the Caesar of the world. We will deal more with this kingdom in the next lectures. Next, let's take a look at another solution being suggested today as our only hope to prevent 1 billion people from starving to death.
It is a crisis. In the mid-90s, before commodity markets were deregulated, we didn't have such volatility. And we've got to at least put a stop on the volatility, and so to enable us to at least know who's doing the trading, how they're doing the trading, whether or not they're abusing the market, and before we can go back to something to deal with some of those long-term issues. And I would say, is it a new era that we're moving into? I think we're starting to revolutionize the way we think about this. It's not about food security, because the global trading system is actually proven to make people quite highly vulnerable in the poorest countries.
So did you catch what the solution was? Because man has no conscience at all, the only solution is to impose rules to monitor or possibly control every investment and trade. Does this sound familiar to you? In other words, every time a trader buys or sells a trade, this trade will be monitored and either permitted or disallowed. Or in other words, a global organization monitoring and controlling buying and selling is the only solution to prevent 1 billion people from starving to death. Now, does this sound familiar to you?
But I think one thing, if I may, want to draw everyone's attention to is that the food prices are rising, and they may be coming down, and they may go up again. We have to really look at this whole food sector a little bit with a different eye than we used to many years ago, because it's not going to be a sort of like business as usual. These prices will go up and down more than we like it, and they're going to be more on the high side than the low side. So it's not just FAO. I think that financial institutions, multilateral organizations, and the private sector, NGO, they have to really perhaps come together and look at the food security with all its dimensions a little bit more collectively. And I think that the Committee on Food Security, which is now having under a sort of new mechanism, that this will be its first meeting in FAO taking place this week, is trying to achieve a little bit more along those lines.
All right, that's an interesting point, and I'd like to take this opportunity to ask our guests a very simple question, starting with Mr. Morris in London. Are we witnessing a new world order arising here, or a new food crisis?
Look at the only solutions being put forth so far. Total monitoring of all trades and investments, possibly even including financial transactions, and drought-ready genetically modified seeds used throughout the entire world, fully controlled by ruthless corporations. My next video will be on the pale horse of Revelation. Thanks for watching.
It's very bad for my government. I haven't food, I haven't anything. Me and my children, I will die today.
Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're an atheist, you will demand your goddamn rights, and we will have our rights, one way or the other. We will never be silent.